Hello everyone. In this video, we will be discussing about experiments, foundry experiments, what is given in our syllabus. Already in the previous introduction video in foundry, we had a very clear discussion about what is foundry and different types of pattern means how the process should be carried out, and finally the output, the source, whatever you're looking for, in which format is we are getting. So all those things was discussed very clearly. So here we will be discussing the step-by-step procedure to get the final solid pattern. We will be discussing. So first we will have a discussion on the first experiment, that is preparation of a sand mold using a solid pattern. So the aim can be given as to prepare a mold cavity by using a solid or a single piece pattern. The pattern will be given in the examination, and this pattern will vary from student to student, but the procedure remains same. Just we will be changing the pattern to different students. Accordingly, we need to get the shape. Okay, so what are the apparatus used to get this particular solid partners? We should having a molding flasks, and solid or a single piece pattern is very much required, and we have sand rammers. And in the other video, I will separately explain about the different shapes, that is different pieces of patterns, that also will discuss. We need sand rammers, trowel, leveler, vent rod, and molding sand mixture. So here we can able to understand what are the sand rammers. Sand rammers are something where by using the sand rammers we keep on hit the sand which is filled inside the flask, where the gap between the sand particles can be reduced by constant heating by using this sand rammers. A trowel is something where we will be using kind of like a kind of a saddle, where by using this trowel only we will be taking the required amount of the sand, and we will be putting in the flasks. And leveler is something where in case by using this leveler we will be like confirming, okay, the required amount of the sand has been filled or like still to be filled. So by using this leveler. And vent rods. So these vent rods for preparing the risers and rulers, like by using this vent rods only will be preparing. And finally the molding sand mixtures. This is very much required, because this molding sand mixture, as I said, with the help of a clay and some silica, the normal sand, we will be preparing this molding sand mixture. So the procedure. So step-by-step procedure should be followed for all the experiments except the pattern. There will not be any change in the procedure. We will see one by one. Very first thing is we have to prepare the molding sand mixture by adding adequate amount of clay and water to it. As I said, even we have apart from water also we have different like the liquid agents also to make the required combinations sometimes. And once it is done, we need to keep the drag on the bottom board in the inverted position. We need to locate the center of the drag half by drawing two diagonals. So place the pattern in the center. Afterwards, fill the drag half of the mold flask by green sand prepared as in step 1. So then we need to ram the sand by using a sand rammer to form a hard mass. Here we need to constantly hit by using this sand rammer, because the more we hit, the more the less gap can be find. Of course, it is impossible to make a zero gap, but by constant hitting, we could able to reduce the gap between the two solid sand particles. So the more we hit, so the more the less gap we get. So once it is done, we need to strike off the excess sand a level with the leveler. As I said, this is also called as a strike off part, where we can able to remove the excess one. Or else, in case still we are looking for a few more sand bits, with the help of trowel, we can able to level it up. Assuming that now it is completely done with the help of a leveler and the range what we are looking for, we need to sprinkle the parting sand on the top surface of the drag half of the mold. Afterwards, place a cope on the drag half of the mold. Then place the riser pin on the pattern center, and place a screw pin on the drag at a convenient distance from the pattern. Now by holding the screw and the riser pin, fill the cope with the molding sand and ram it properly. Once again we need to ram it properly, since we have removed certain amount of the sand mixture by using this screw the risers pins. So by using a vent rod pierce the rolls, by using a vent rod we need to pierce the holes on the top surface of the cope half. Later, loosen the screw pins and remove them from the rammed portions carefully. So remove the coop and place it inverted. By using sand lifters, remove the drag and cut it gates and screw base. Shake the pattern by using a mallet without disturbing the mold cavity. Finally, remove the pattern carefully and clean the pattern carefully. Since it is already rammed heavily, there will not be any chances of chances of again going back to the original condition. It will be in a strong patterned position. It will be there, and finally place the cork on the drug and close the mold cavity. So finally the mold cavity similar to drawing specification can be obtained. Next one, you can able to see this is the second experiment, that is the preparation of the sand mold using the split piece pattern. So here the pattern I will be going with these kind of a split piece pattern. We'll see how to do this. So aim of the experiment is to prepare a mold cavity by using the split piece pattern. Apparatus required same things like molding flask, solid or split piece pattern, sand rammers, trowel, leveler, vent rod, molding sand mixtures, and bottom board is required for this one additionally. So the procedure here is we need to prepare the molding sand mixture by adding a adequate amount of clay and water to it. Keep the drag on the bottom board in the inverted position. Locate the center of the drag half by drawing two diagonals. Place one half of the split pattern in the center. Fill the drag half of the mold flask by green sand prepared as in step 1. Ram the sand by using a sand rammer to from a hard mass. Strike off the excess sand to a level with your leveler, which is also on the strike off bar. Sprinkle parting sand on the top surface of the drag half of the mold. Place the cope on the drag half of the mold. Place the cope half of the pattern on the drag half in proper alignment of the dowel pins. Place the riser pin in the pattern center and place the screw pin on the drag at a convenient distance from the pattern. Now by holding the screw and riser pins, fill the cope with the molding sand and ram it properly. By using a vent rod, pierce the rolls of the top surface of the cope half. Loosen the screw pins and remove them from the ram portion of carefully. Remove the cope and place it inverted by using sand lifters. Remove the drag and cutting gates and screw base. Shake the patterns in both the halves by using a mallet without disturbing the mold cavity. Remove the patterns carefully. Clean the cavities for any loose sand in case of any. Place the cope on the drag and close the mold cavity. So this is how this experiment should be done. And next one is preparation of the sand mold without using pattern. So this is quite interesting compared to the previous cases where a regular hexagon pattern with a square we can able to see this and the dimension is shown here. So the aim is to prepare a mold cavity of a regular hexagon of side 80 mm and square of size 50 mm with a depth of 25 mm. We will see without patterns how to be done. And the apparatus used are molding flask, sand rammers, trowel, leveler, sand lifters, vent rod, and molding sand mixers. Procedure. So here we'll be going with a molding sand with the adequate amount of binder and moisture is added to the sand. This sand is thoroughly mixed with the help of a muller or by hand, and the sand is then filled with the drag half of the molding box. Sand is then rammed with the help of a hand rammer. Strike off the excess sand with the help of a strike rod. Apply parting sand on top of the drag half of the mold by using a vent rod. Draw two diagonals on the top half of the mold. Draw the hexagon as per the dimensions as shown in the figure. Inside the hexagon, draw two squares of side 50 mm. The cope is now kept on the drag half of the mold. The wooden screw rod and risers are kept in position in the drag half of the molding box. The cope half is then filled with sand and is kept in the rammed thoroughly. The cope box is then lifted and kept in the inverted position. Now, by using the sand lifter, remove the sand from the mold to get the desired shape, that is square in the cope half and hexagon in the drag half. The mold is finished after cutting the gate in the drag portion. So with this, this video is getting closed. Thank you.